Welcome everyone to another episode of Play It Through, and on this edition, it's another little special ROM hack bonus Play It Through, as I'm playing Phineas and Ferb, which is a ROM hack of Mickey Mousecapades, a game I'm very familiar with, plus I love Phineas and Ferb. I thought it was one of the best cartoons, at least of the last 10 or so years, and so I figured I'd give this a little bit of a shot. One thing I do like about it is, not only do you get to play as Phineas and Ferb, they do change up the characters, so you actually get to play as several of the characters from Phineas and Ferb as you're going through, though the gameplay remains the same for Mickey Mousecapade. If you're unfamiliar with Mickey Mousecapade, you control two characters at once, though the secondary character, normally Minnie, cannot be hurt by enemies, but you must keep her safe and you must have her always with you in order to do screen transitions and the like. So in this case, we have Ferb that will be the placement of Minnie, at least for the first level of the game. We start off by immediately going after the baseball, which becomes our projectile, normally a star in Mickey Mousecapade, and this allows us to take out enemies. After heading up here, we're going to go to the right and grab this key from the chest to unlock the door that's just above us where that boss is currently located. While not all the sprites have been changed for this ROM hack, there have been quite a few little changes here and there, some bosses changed up, and not only the characters, but some other normal enemies as well. For most of the bosses, though, it's really kind of just a run-in, attack as quick as possible, and hope you take them down before they take you down, because they just bombard you with a ton of projectiles. Though, there are a few secrets here and there that you can do to kind of help things out, or basically cheese some of the bosses, especially the boss at the end of level 4. After making our way through, we head to the left in that one area. We can find the secondary baseball or star, which I will be grabbing so that way Ferb actually has a weapon, or the second character has a weapon as well. That's actually very useful for this boss, as you can cheese it because of that. I'll show the same strategy, though, on boss 4 when I make it to that level. But take out the gigantic baby head and grab the key, which allows us to unlock the door that was at the very beginning of the level, which opens up the area to level 2. There's a lot of secrets throughout the game by attacking kind of just the air portraits and other things. You'll find a lot of secrets, including diamonds, which will refill your health, diamonds to take out all the enemies currently on screen, little bonus pieces of health, normally cakes, but in this game is actually a head of Candace, which is Phineas and Ferb's sister, who is actually who we're saving in all of this. We're trying to find what happened to Candace, and of course the evil Dr. Doofenshmirtz has something to do with that. In this room you'll find the secondary attack, the second baseball in this case. Sometimes that can be an enemy though, so you may have to take out the enemy and then come back in order to get the secondary attack, but definitely get it. It is almost a must in order to have a decent shot at being able to get through the tougher and harder levels of the game. Since we have the key that we need at the beginning, basically it's just a lot of backtracking for the first level here in order to get back to that very beginning. Thankfully there's no other bosses or anything, so if we get hit, as long as we have a little bit of health left when we make it to the very end of the level, or back to the beginning, we can complete the stage. We don't have to worry about fighting anything. The blue diamond right there is one of those ones that takes out all the enemies on screen. The only negative from that is you don't get points, but I've never really been interested in trying to get a high score in Mickey Mousecapade. Go through the door at the very beginning and you'll see a Carpe Diem sign above the portrait that takes us to the ocean. The second level of the game is the ocean, a much more straightforward level where we're just trying to get from left to right. There's a lot of stuff going on. If you have both attacks, you should be able to take out a lot of the enemies as you're avoiding the giant shrimp and fish and waves and jellyfish that are just going everywhere in this stage. The worst thing about the game, though, is with the secondary character, you have to make sure they land on platforms and go along with you. If, for example, in this case, the secondary character fell into the ocean, even though I landed safely, I would lose a life because the character had ended up dying. I love the sprite work, though, on the characters here. We play as Isabella and Buford in this stage, and take on the boss here. We're just going to get up close and fire a ton of projectiles really quickly. If you stand in a sweet spot, you can get around a lot of the bubbles, but a lot of the times you just want to kind of get in there and just mash the attack button, and he should go down pretty quickly. Always be careful, though. All bosses can instantly kill you if you walk into them. The third level of the game, probably the most complicated, is the woods. It's a maze-like level, which is never really that enjoyable. One of the only reasons I can probably stand this maze is because I played it so much as a kid, and even later on as an adult, that I memorized, of course, what's needed to get through it, as it is a bit convoluted, considering the kind of subject matter of being a Disney-related game. It starts off easy, though. You go to the second tree and go inside that in order to get to the next part. You know you've gone through the right door if the season has changed, as we kind of went from spring to summer here, and then we'll go to fall, winter, and then to a garden, basically, for where the actual boss is located. Even though Mickey Mousecapade came here in North America as like kind of straightforward Mickey Mouse game with other Disney references, it actually was based more on Alice in Wonderland, with Mickey saving Alice from Alice in Wonderland, with a lot of the characters and bosses being related to that, but that was changed up when it was brought over to North America. The third screen introduces the toughest enemy, basically, in this whole area, which is normally the big bad wolf, but in this case is these weird creature monsters that are just chucking rocks everywhere. Just keep attacking, mashing the attack button, and take care of them. Right past the second set of them, though, is a tree that you can attack in order to find the secret entrance that you need to get to the winner area. In the winner part, the door that you need to get through to get to the last area is actually right at the very beginning, but you can't activate it until you've gone through one loop of running around this whole section, which is always obnoxious. Be careful of more of those really big, bad wolf guys with the rocks. If you can get a little bit of distance from them, you can kind of stand back a bit, especially with the double attack, and try to do your best. Remember, always be careful with the jumps. You want to do a really long jump. Even if it's going to cause you to get hit, make sure that you land safely over gaps so that your secondary character doesn't end up falling down into the pits below. It then takes you to the garden, which in the Alice in Wonderland basic version of Mickey Mousecapade, you actually fight the caterpillar at the end. But normally, and even in this ROM hack, we're fighting a large snake that throws little circle rings at us. Here it's straightforward, though. You don't need to find a secret exit or anything. You just gotta get to the end, but there is quite a lot of enemies, as you can see, throwing projectiles everywhere during this. When you make it to the screen, though, you're battling the giant snake here. Jump up, you have to hit him in the head in order to do damage to him, and it's kind of, once again, a free-for-all, just trying to do as much damage to him as possible before you end up taking a lot of damage yourself. Usually, though, I'm always able to just kind of sneak out wins. As long as I don't run into him himself and instantly die, I'm usually able to kind of just barely come out ahead. The fourth level changes who we get to play as again. Instead of now Isabella and Buford, we're now switched over to Perry the Platypus and Pinky the Chihuahua. This is a very short level, though. It's only 4 screens. We start at the top of the ship, go down, take out a couple enemies, have the pirate guys throwing like the skulls at us here. Then when we make it up to this ladder here, this is where the boss is located, and this is the easiest way to cheese this boss. Get the secondary character to go up there, and then walk to the right and just keep attacking. That's all you gotta do. The other characters, since they can't be hurt, you can just easily lay in the attacks and destroy the boss. Normally a giant pirate, in this case it's the giant robot Norm that Dr. Doofenshmirtz consistently has around, the assistant and all that, and one of the funnier side characters of Phineas and Ferb. The 5th level of the game is the castle, and this one's a little bit of a tricky level as well, but not nearly as bad as like the 3rd level of the game. The hardest thing about this level, honestly, though, is just maneuvering the characters, because, like I said, you need to have both through an opening or entrance in order to go transition between screens, and trying to get the platforming to work here with a lot of the enemies sometimes can be a real chore. Make sure both characters are on a platform and in an open area so that you'll be able to get through. Follow the path that I take here for the first bit of it in order to make it to this room, which has the key, which we need to unlock the door, which was just above us a few moments ago. If you don't have this key, though, you won't be able to get into the final boss chamber. One thing, though, that is cool, if you end up dying against the boss located above us, which is kind of like the mini-boss of the level, which, as you can see, is the Walrus from Alice in Wonderland. If you die at that point, you actually start off at the bottom part of that screen, usually, in which case you can easily get to where the key is located. So they kind of have a fail-safe for if you end up making all the way through, but you don't want to backtrack. But it's not, of course, recommended that you end up taking that route to do it. Just go instantly, grab the key, and then start working your way around the main part of the castle. Like I said, one of the hardest things is making sure you can get around these platforms with the jumping and all that's needed, especially hitting your head of one character on a platform and they end up falling. Basically, at that point, if you're not on the same platform with your character. You kind of have to like reset everything to get there. Here we at the Battle Norm again. This fight is the same as the last one, but this time we actually do have to take him on one-on-one, but just do the little short jumps in order to attack him in the head to get rid of him. Once he's done, continue on. You'll have a room here with a couple of spiders. Just kind of ignore them and run on past. And now you're battling the Walrus. If you're lucky, you can get the secondary character onto the ground level and take him out from that. And that way you don't have to worry about taking any damage because we're right about to fight the final boss of the game. Once he's done, unlock the door, since we have that key. And now it's time to fight Doofenshmirtz. Basically, stand a little bit close as you feel safe, and just do little short jumps over his projectiles and keep launching in attacks until he's defeated, and you can enjoy the brief ending to Mickey Mousecapade, or in this case, Phineas and Ferb. And there you have it. There is Mickey Mousecapade. They gave Phineas and Ferb for this ROM hack. I probably would not have done a Mickey Mousecapade run if it wasn't for it being Phineas and Ferb related, but since I love that cartoon, and it's been a while since I actually played through the game, I decided to give this a little try for a little bonus video. So, anyway guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of Play It Through. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a thumbs up or commenting down below. If you enjoyed this playthrough, be sure to check out my bootleg playthrough for Resident Evil on the Famicom or NES, as well as I recently did a more traditional one of the Ninja on the Sega Master System. I also need to thank all the members of my Patreon. You guys are absolutely amazing with your support, and with it, I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing. If you'd like to help out the channel as well, just click the little Patreon button. And thank you guys so much for watching this video, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.